Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday morning mastermind with daily refinement. We do this call Monday through Friday every single day, but on Wednesdays we stream live on YouTube. I apologize today. My voice is a little bit hoarse, but I still want to conduct the call this morning. Today's topic is Resellers Wanted, $5 to $500 an hour. The reason why I put that range is because the person that I know that makes the most money reselling makes $1 million a year profit, and the average reseller works 40 hours a week and makes $200 profit, which is $5 an hour. So these people have the same 40 hours in a week. I want to just go over what the difference is between somebody making $500 an hour and somebody making $5 an hour. Literally the same occupation, one person making 100 times more. So how that works is essentially this person makes more money per year than the rest of the people do in 99 years. That's how dramatically different it is. So the reason why I wanted to share that with you guys is a lot of it is systems, a lot of it is processes, and I want to go over today the job description. So I've been hiring using the website Indeed, and it's been really, really useful for me going through the exercise of figuring out what everybody's role is. I had one of my new staff members say, I would actually like a sheet of your expectations for me at this job. And then if there are things that don't match, I would like to work on those skills. And it was like really nice to hear someone who was thinking that way, because she's been listening probably to Jim Rohn, because she said, I want to be able to ask for a raise. I don't know if you guys ever thought of that. Like, I want to be able to ask for a raise and get it. You can ask for a raise and not do anything different, which is what a lot of people expect. Okay, so I'm going to go over a job description with you guys, and you guys let me know in the chat what things that you think a reseller is responsible for. So we'll start with sourcing items. This is part of your job as a reseller. Maybe I can ask a couple of people in the chat what they do so I can take a little pressure off my voice. Jacob, can you chat this morning?
Yes,
Do you want to
I
tell
can.
me what your plan is for sourcing currently?
For sourcing right now, finding at least a good thrift store or a place that I can source from mainly that has a lot of good stuff, but mostly find suppliers, like at least 3 to 5 suppliers that I can rely on for sure.
So, what do you want from a supplier? If you had a perfect supplier, what would they do?
If I had a perfect supplier, I would say they would have at least the name brand clothings that I'm looking for. You know, those
Okay.
like I remember you said that whatnot. I don't know if it was you or someone else said that whatnot, like Free People, Lululemon, everybody's looking for those. So definitely brands like that are going to draw people in. So I could sell those small items to get to the Lululemon and Free People. So top name brands, like anything that's not clothes, I guess, like cool antiques, but I'm moving away from that. So I'm just saying mostly clothes, like really good brands.
Gotcha. So, are you thinking local supplier? So, doesn't matter where they are. How are you approaching that?
Local would work. I don't even have like a real way of approaching it right now besides finding maybe like getting in good terms with someone that owns a thrift store or a consignment shop that might get like stuff in that they have as a like down or dead stock or something. But I don't know if that's like really a good way to go about it.
So if you're working with a supplier, typically it's going to be they're going to want you to they're going to want you to be able to sell it
Yeah.
for a minimum of twice what you paid. So as an example, Keystone pricing, if you wanted to order brand new goods right now, a you could open an account with, let's say, Macy'sLiquidation.com, or you could figure out Costco's returns or Target's returns, or you could go to Good Shop Goodwill, whatever, all these different stores. And for you to reorder, you'd have to at least be able to sell it for two times what you paid for it. That means buy something. What's your average sale price?
If I'm thinking, it's fluctuated in the past
What do you
couple
think?
of
What do you
weeks.
think a good? So for your supplier, what do
Like
you think you want to order from? What do you think the ASP you want
the ASP I want per item.
from a supplier?
Oh, I don't really know. That's actually a good question.
Okay, so let's say it's $20.
Yeah.
A supplier is going to want to sell you the item for 10 or more. If you can sell it for 20, they're gonna want to sell it to you for 10 or more. That would be a healthy supplier retailer relationship. Now, most resellers do not want to pay 10 and sell it for 20, because after all the dust settles, you're probably going to have $1 or $2 profit on the buy for 10, sell for 20 plus shipping after fees, promotions, um, rent, your time. You're talking about $1 or $2 left. This is why retail is so hard. Most stores go out of business in less than 10 years because it's very hard to sell something for $20 and make $1 or $2. So that is a typical supplier relationship where they're trying to sell to you for Keystone or more. There is somebody out there that will pay 10 for an item that sells for 20 or more.
Hmm.
For a reseller, though, we're talking about doubling our money is the general rule. So if you're selling something for 20 plus shipping, to double your money, you would probably have to buy it for like $7. Buy it for seven, sell it for actually maybe even $5 to $7. You sell for 20 or more, you would maybe double your money. Now, here's a problem. If you double your money and you buy one item, go home, then buy two, because you made double your money, so you can now buy two items, you're still broke because now you have two items and no money. And
Yeah.
before you had one item and no money. Now you have two items and no money. So the supplier relationship is very uncommon at first, because most people aren't spending $10 to make one, right? Because that's very it would require a lot of capital to start. That's why a lot of people who do retail arbitrage or supplier relationships already have a full-time job where they're making bank. Let's say you work and you make 65 to $125,000 a year at work. You want to try a supplier. So you say, hey, Bob, I want to invest $10,000. And they're like, okay, you give them $10,000. They sell you stuff. You sell it for 20,000. After the dust settles, you make $1,000. That's a typical supplier relationship,
Hmm.
because they're not going to sell you that for five. It doesn't make sense, especially if they have more than one of the same thing. Now, the margins, the better the brands, the smaller that threshold is between what it is and what it sells for. For a Rolex, a dealer might pay $10,000 for a watch and sell it for 12. And after the store, the salesperson, all of that, they might make $300 on a $10,000 investment. But what's the odds they're going to be able to sell that Rolex?
It's very, very high, I'm guessing.
Very, 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 very high.
Yeah.
Like every single Rolex store has a waiting list. Like literally, they get it, call somebody sold. Like no wait time whatsoever. Literally the same day comes, or not even that. It comes on Tuesday. Can you be here Tuesday when we open?
Right.
Yes, I'll take work off and come get my. I'll take work off to spend $12,000 with you.
Yeah.
That's how high the demand is and how low the margin is. If I told people right now on YouTube that I could sell free people for 65% of what it sells for on eBay, it would sell out in one day. That's how much people want it and how easy it is to sell compared to other brands. We were looking at CC Filson as a example, and CC Filson leather has like a 500% sell through rate. So if you find an item that's CC Filson, you price it at market, it's probably going to sell in 5 days or less. That's how fast they sell. So for that kind of an item, They were selling for about $120 on eBay. When I did a poll, lots of people said they would pay $80 to sell it for 120. That is a supplier relationship that you could create because it's more than 50% of the MS of what it sells for. A supplier can make enough money to continuously supply you forever if you're paying at least half of what it sells for. They'll never work with anybody else. So that's what I want people in this group to cater. If you are reselling in the long term, it's better to have a business to business relationship.
What would be the better way to go about it, like as of now, if I don't have a ton of startup capital?
Then you wouldn't spend 10 to make $1. You would spend one to make $10. You don't have a lot of capital.
Right.
You would do garage sales, thrift stores, dollar a day, pay by the pound. Look for items to turn one into 10. I would say that 99% of resellers that are successful started by quadrupling, 10xing their money in the beginning because you learn in the beginning and you have a little room for error. So if you buy for $5 at a garage sale and sell for 50, let's say you make a mistake on the listing and you didn't notice all these problems with it, you can still sell it for 13 plus shipping and you still doubled your money.
Right.
But there's no room for error if you have a supplier. That's why suppliers want to know, do you have a store? Do you have employees? Do you know what you're doing? What does your store look like? What's your budget
Right.
each? Is it 10,000? Is it 20,000? Is it 100,000? Because that affects what they give you, right?
So yeah, yeah.
So you need to define what your store looks like, what kind of stuff you take in, and then a supplier is more willing to work with you. That ultimately everybody here, I want everyone to have suppliers. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, this I just wanted to bring up a point that I was talking about yesterday that seemed to get some people confused and it relates directly to this. I think people need to be really conscious and careful about when they're growing their store. And I was saying yesterday, like, as just an example, this is not like a real profit margin, but like spend four, get $8 in profit, get your initial four back, buy another item, put that $4 in your bank account, spend four, get that item, sell it. If you have your original four back, put the $4 profit in your bank account. You're not growing your store, but you now have $12 profit in your bank account. You've only been spending four over and over and over. People are like, well, how do you grow that way? You don't. That's not the growth model. The thing you grow is your money. Then all of a sudden now, and again, you're not doing this with $4 and $8. Hopefully you're doing it with 8 into 30, right? So you're putting more away. But a couple weeks of that, now all of a sudden you have $300 in the bank account. Obviously, hopefully it's more and you're doing this on a larger scale. I'm just using it as an example. Now maybe you buy the next time you go, you spend something for 8, you buy 2 items. And now you're on that path, but you still have the money in your bank account. So you have to figure out that like what you're trying to grow. You can't grow your bank account and your store at the same time. And I know I sound like tech right now, but it's just because I learned this from tech. Like I didn't come up with this. Like I literally spent like 5 months listening to him just say this stuff over and over and over again. But like you can't grow both at the same time. And you don't need to grow both at the same time. And it's okay to just be selling, on selling an item and making the profit and saving the profit and get another item and doing it. Now, you don't need to start with one item, right? You can start with 5 items, whatever your initial investment is. You can start with 5. And if they cost you $5 each, then you just keep reinvesting that $25 in 5 more items and 5 more items. And hopefully every time you sell something that you bought for 5, you make 25, including your original back. And you just keep putting that money in your bank account and saving it and saving it. And then when you hit a plateau or you start to sell more than you list or whatever it is, that's when you grow. But you don't need to like come in guns blazing growing. And actually, if you don't have the capital to start with a lot at the beginning, it's not about growing the store. It's about growing the money to put into the store. So anyway, just wanted to clarify that from yesterday because I think it applies here. So hopefully that helps.
I just want to clarify that you can grow and have your bank account grow at the same time. It's just slower than people think. So like we're gonna change the format of the Friday call to go over our numbers and move the research day to a different day. But essentially, the ultimate question is how much money do you want in your bank? How much money do you want your bank account to go up each week? That's the ultimate question. Because when you have a regular job, you either get paid weekly or bi-weekly. Have you guys ever had a job where you're paid weekly, or has everybody here had a job where they're paid bi-weekly or monthly? Can I ask you guys, how are you paid at your job before? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Looks like a lot of bi-weekly, weekly, monthly, mostly bi-weekly. Okay. So when you go to a job, you usually ask, how much do you pay per week? They pay you that much per week and they get your taxes taken out. Right? So you can grow your ability to earn money and grow your bank account at the same time. That was the basis of the group that Tech and Sports and I built, and it's the same concept as now. It's not a novel concept. You have to make money. Well, first off, you have to make money to live. So what most people do is they do what Matt said. They spend $4 on an item. They sell. They make $4 profit. They spend the $4. They make. Let's just say they make $4 profit. They get their $4 back. They buy another item and they spend the $4 on living. That's like 90% of resellers do not grow. They just stay the same size. Some resellers grow and they have no money in their bank account. And a really, really, really small subset of resellers grow their store and their bank account at the same time. Really small. That means your store is bigger every week and your bank account's bigger every week. Everyone got that? You start the week with 100 items. Next week, you have 105 items and your bank account went up. Here's the part that people, I think this is where we can really hone it in this year. Just have to grow by one item. That's it. Let's not like think about anything bigger than that. Your bank account has to grow and your store has to be one item bigger. That's all. Everyone here can do one item bigger. One item bigger over the course of a year, even if you do one item bigger a week, is 50 items in your store bigger, which is a bigger raise than most people when they get a raise at work. It's like $1 to $5 an hour. If you're at a crazy growth company, if you're at a regular company, it's like 50 cents or 25 cents an hour raise. It's basically nothing. If you grow one item a week, you're getting like a $5 an hour raise every time you do that. So the supply relationship, that's really important because to grow, if you have a thrift store route, Jacob, that is your supplier. The 12 Goodwill stores that you go to, that is your supplier because Goodwill doesn't care how many items you buy. If the item sells for 100 and they have a price for 8, they don't say, oh, Jacob, sorry, we messed up on this one, $42 more to cash register. They don't do that. You keep the difference for finding the deal. I would say, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I think reselling is one of the most honest businesses ever because there's value in every single part of the process. When someone goes to Goodwill and they dump off their stuff for free at the store, are they happy? Usually. Usually the people who drop off stuff at Goodwill are happy. Thank you. This is in my garage. My wife wanted me to get rid of it. Finally, we can park one car in our 2-car garage. Or finally, we can go buy more stuff and fill up our garage. Whatever they want, they are for sure happy. They are voluntarily giving away their stuff for free. You can also call 1-800-JUNK and they'll come to your house, go into your house and take the stuff out if you're too lazy to at least put it on your doorstep. Right? So they're happy. Goodwill gets all their stuff for free. They hire people who can't get a job normally to work there. Those people get a job that they never were able to get before because maybe they had a history. The real estate company makes money because Goodwill is renting that area, right? All of the businesses in the area make money from people, excuse me, eating and spending time in that area. Resellers go there, they pay for an item that they can resell for a profit, or regular people go there and shop and buy goods that they want to wear for an affordable price, right? Then you go home listed on eBay, somebody on the other side of the country buys it from you. They're happy, leave you a positive feedback. Then when they're done wearing it, they donate it for free and the cycle starts over again. The whole thing, people get paid every single part of it. Not only that, there's people who sell shoes for a living and they hire a shoe cleaner. And then you get maybe big enough and now you're selling 50 a day and you hire someone to help you with shipping. This is why, like, my dream is for everyone here to have one person helping them. I think it's really noble to hire people. I don't know if you guys feel that way. Like, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm just going to do this on my own thing. But I think that hiring somebody to help you, at least part-time, you have a lady that comes on Saturday and Sunday, or a guy that goes with you Monday through Friday. You have a sourcing buddy. Jacob, you find a friend that wants to do the same thing as you, and he sells in a different category, and you guys source together 2 days a week. You hit the pavement. That's a synergy that's really cool. This call is 54 people right now discussing different ways to make money. I think collaboration and improving others is noble.
I think, yeah, that's kind of noble, especially hiring someone because you're probably teaching them skills they're not going to learn at a regular job.
So yeah, Jacob, I paid $6,000 to go to this YouTube powwow. And the guy was like, "Oh, Chris, what kind of business do you run?" And I'm like, "Oh, I sell clothing online." He said, "Okay, what do your workers make?" And I said, "Oh, they make $1,000 a week. It's pretty good." And he's like, "That's not very good." And I was like, "Really?" I feel like that's pretty good. People can work for me and make $1,000 a week, um, and he's like, "That's not very good. If you tried living on $1,000 a week, it's okay. Like, you can have a car and a place to live, but you're not really. I wouldn't consider that a good job. That is just a job. You provide a job to people." And I was like, Interesting." He's like, "All the people that work for me make six figures." And I was like, okay, I had never even thought of that. Like, right now, I hire lots of people work for me, but they're not necessarily thriving. So I went back and looked at my model and I'm like, can I make this more efficient so that people can get paid more? But the company has to make more to be able to afford these people. So now my job is really hard, but the lowest paid person in my company makes 70,000 a year. And I'm thinking, okay, but everybody comes to work and the whole day is productivity. And I was even thinking this morning that just how could I pay somebody $100,000 a year to work for me? How? What does it look like? Right? And today's topic is $5 to $500 an hour. Over $100 an hour as a reseller, usually you don't do any more reselling. You're just a reseller manager because you have people helping. What I want for most people in the group is at least to get to $25 to $50 an hour, which is around 6 to 10 items an hour processed. I think everybody can do that, 6 to 10. Now, this morning when I went to the gym, there's a lady that comes, and I didn't know because I usually don't get there that early. Today I got to the gym 5 minutes early, and a lady took an Uber to the gym, and I was like, "Is that worth it for you?" I asked her, "Is it worth it for you to take an Uber to the gym?" And she said, "Yeah, because it's cheaper than a trainer." I don't need a trainer. I just need to get to the gym, and I schedule my Ubers for the days I want to go. So there's literally somebody waiting outside my house on those days. It costs about $20 to have an Uber take me to the gym and take me home, but that's cheaper than a trainer. And I was like, that is pretty smart because if you have somebody accountable to and it costs money, people usually do it. If I made Reseller Fiesta that started right after this for 2 hours and it cost $5, people would do more work than if they didn't have Reseller Fiesta and it was free. Because why would you pay $5 and then not work? I mean, that's like, is she going to pay $20 for an Uber to the gym and back and not work out when she gets there? The trainer is here, it's $100 an hour. But I just think it's interesting because you can increase your hourly just by being worth more. That's why the lady asked me, I want clear expectations of what you want here, and I want to exceed those expectations so I can get a raise. I don't know who taught her that, but that's smart. That's like classic Jim Rohn training. Always do more than you're paid for, and you can always ask for a raise. The company will not work without you if you always do more than you're paid for. They need you. So Kelly's mentioned that yesterday my Whatnot crew had a competition amongst themselves to who could sell more in an hour. And yeah, the healthy competition is good. And also, they know that they can ask for a raise if they sell more per hour. And it doesn't really work that way with Whatnot because like I don't allow people to take shortcuts. So if you sell more items, it takes longer because it's already efficient. So like if they want to get paid more, it just takes longer. We've already tried a million different ways to make more money per hour, and it's very hard. So at a certain point, this lady taking an Uber to the gym, she can't make her workout less than 45 minutes to an hour. There's certain things you have to do to make the workout worth it. Right. So on Fridays, when we do the deep dive on your numbers, and I ask people what went well this week, what could be improved this week, what items did you sell that are good, what items did you sell that are bad, how much did your bank account go up? So, how much did your bank account go up? And how many items did you buy? And how many items did you list are the key because with that information, we can find out if Harry's store is bigger than last week. And did he make more money than last week? And was he more productive than last week as far as how many new listings went up? What you don't want is your store to grow and your sales to stay the same. That means your bank account went down because you spent more money on cost of goods. The guy that I met, Daryl Eves, he lives in the middle of the country where people make $500 a week is the normal pay, and his workers make six figures. Like it's not like you don't have if people around you only make $600 a week, I have news for you guys. You do not need to make $600 a week. You can make 100 times more than the people around you. I wanted to ask you guys today, if you're the firstborn or secondborn, how many kids are in your family? The reason I ask is because generally the firstborn is more productive. And I want to know why. Why is the firstborn usually more productive? Not always, but like, is there something different about the environment that causes them to be more productive? Because right now I'm trying to ask you guys, what's the difference between a reseller that makes $500 an hour and $5 an hour? Wow, a lot of babies in the group. Jacob, you're younger than your sister.
Yeah, she's 10 years older than me, but I know isn't very common. She she's a teacher, an art teacher, and she has two kids, and she makes art on the side.
Is she more productive than you?
Far more productive. There's no way I could have like I could do what she does. It's insane.
Well, why is she more productive? Any idea?
I would say definitely. I don't know. That's a good question because I was about to say like my parents were easier on me, but not really. I think they were actually a little bit harder on me, which led me to be more creative, I guess. But I am less productive than her. She's far more productive.
Because I have two kids and I want to give them equal opportunity parenting. So I don't know if I should just like tell, because like I don't want the second born to be less productive.
Yeah.
Like it be because I did something wrong and then they're just not motivated. I don't know how to get like I just want like the I just want everyone here to do the best of their ability. And it's stronger with the older generally. But I'm saying, what is it about the environment that causes that? Because this whole year, my whole mantra is I want to help people. I want to train people to be better. So like, I think people are better if they pay. I think people are better if they're supervised. I don't know what else works so far. So far, I know if you pay for it, you're probably more likely to do it. If somebody's watching you, you're more likely to do it. The internal thing, like internally, I feel this desire to be a successful reseller. I don't know if that works. Is there some, or is it just like there's a goal that's specific and they're moving towards it? I don't know if there's some kind of internal desire to be a reseller. I don't know if I can find that for you guys. Kelly says that her oldest sibling makes more than the rest of them combined.
Hey,
Um,
Chris, I have a theory on your oldest child.
Go ahead.
I'm a father of five. My youngest is 17, will be 18 this summer. So all my children are grown. I have grandchildren now. Um, I think that the oldest child, especially with more siblings than two or multiple siblings, the more siblings they have, I think, makes us better because that child is raised and under them, uh, we're all, I mean, a lot of us, most of us probably parents in here. It's always like my oldest is Ashley. Hey, Ashley, help Chandler get his shoes on. Hey, Chandler, help Ethan. You're the parents, they're not like demanding work from their children, but it's just, I think, a normal thing to lean on like the older children to help you in a busy family with the younger children. So the older children learn more responsibility while the younger children in the family have less responsibility because they get more taken care of.
So is it assigning responsibility that creates that? Does
I
that
think so. I mean, I mean, I've never known a successful business person that isn't a responsible person. Have you?
okay, well then, but how do I coach responsibility this year? I want people to be more responsible this year.
If you figure that out, I'd like to take that class.
So like what if we say like okay, I'll give you guys some homework. On Friday, I want you guys to be ready to do the financial date with me. So like this is adulting, right? We've got to bring your bank account and your checking account or like your bring your bank statement and your credit card statement if you use a credit card. Um, bring those two things on Friday and then we'll just get into it. I think that you're right. I had more responsibilities than my younger brother. Um, I think it also like if depending on your range of kids, it like goes the other direction. Like sometimes the youngest sibling of five is the most productive, right? It's because it's like been so long that they get more responsibilities again at the end. What do you think, Jamie?
I think maybe that the youngest child being the most productive may be the fact that the parents learned how to raise a child better.
That's fair. Yeah, that could be. Um, but anyway, I want to, I think responsibility is key. I think paying for it is key. Like, have you ever heard a parent say, I know you want to do that, but you have to pay for it yourself. That way you really appreciate it. I've heard that before. That's a common parenting strategy.
I've said that many times before.
But do you think
That's
it's more,
awesome.
do you think it's more effective than if you pay for it?
Oh yeah, I made my kids pay for everything. I made them get a job to get their driver's license, made them pay for half of their first car. Yeah, I've always pushed that to make them self-reliant. Absolutely. I was the only child of two, an engineer at General Motors and a high-paid line worker. I was a spoiled brat, so I didn't have to work for anything. I don't know how I turned out how I did, but yeah, my wife struggled, so she had a huge issue with just giving the kids everything. She grew up in a family where you had to work for what you got, and that's what we did with our kids. And All my kids are college educated except for the last one that's still in high school, and they're all successful. So I believe in that. I definitely think kids should work for what they got. Even younger kids, even if they're just little, I want a coloring book. All right, well, help dry the dishes when I wash them, or get them out of the dishwasher. Even little tiny things just to build that character into people, into your kids.
Robert is saying that he grew up mostly on his own. What does a latchkey kid mean? I wasn't a latchkey kid, but I feel like I didn't see my parents at all when they were at work. They just left. So the Robert or Bob is saying responsibility is born from experience. I think that could be true too. Like if you're put in a position where your back is against the wall and you have to do it on your own, a lot of responsibility is created. I think a lot of the people that inspire me had kids early. I mean, unless you're a bad parent, there's so much responsibility in having a kid. Like compared to all this reselling stuff, raising a kid is way harder. It's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. And I just started my journey, and it's a lot harder than reselling. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, what I was trying to really say about that statement is that you really don't know what people are capable of until one, they're given the responsibility to at work. So for me, the easiest way to test out whether someone has the ability to do something in the drive is give them that extra responsibility, no matter how small it is or how large, and see how they react to it. And that's also a big judgment. But for me, my mom had 5 kids and my father passed away when I was 8. And we were pretty much on our own in Dorchester, which is part of Boston. And you had to, be able to push back, fight for what you want, not necessarily physically, but the amount of jobs I had to do to help put money on the table, and we were all doing that to be able to survive and eat. You learn pretty quickly what you made of. I tend to see, and I think that what I think Jeremy was talking about, and I agree with too, if we make things too easy for our kids, then they're not going to learn the harder lessons until later in life, and hopefully they're resilient enough to get over that. So that's why I'm saying, and a good example is important, but you really never know about what someone's capable of until given that opportunity. And then you're able to figure out what they're capable of, they are too, and then they can adjust and they'll learn from that. But that was just a quick kind of overview of it.
So I want to ask you guys, Harry put in the chat, parents need to create an environment that they care for their children in ways they aren't ready for, but force them to perform in areas that they can't perform. It's a fine line to walk. So I learned from my parents to work really hard, and I love working hard, and I love providing value to other people. I don't know if my parents intentionally taught me that though. When my parents like intentionally wanted me to like learn the violin and play sports, and I hated being forced to do that, and I stopped as soon as I could. But obviously you want to teach your kids to work hard for things that they believe in, and I got that message somehow. And now obviously, and being a parent myself now, I will never criticize another parent because you don't know what they're going through. That's why I don't criticize resellers, because I don't know what they're going through. Everyone's situation is different, but somehow I want to inspire you guys to work hard towards a specific goal. Marika says that the oldest sometimes has to shoulder a lot of the parents' learning. 100%. I remember going to the pediatrician and she said, your kids are going to turn different colors like red, green, blue, black over the years, and just you'll learn which ones you need to call us and bring them in, and other ones that you can just ignore. But it's like your experience means that your firstborn, every color is going to be an emergency. Robert says that people our children need to learn consequences, but that's not always easy to teach. So I guess that's true. I'm just trying to figure out the best way for you guys um, to become better this year at doing what you're supposed to do. Well, let me open up for questions a little bit from people in the chat. If you guys have any questions about something to do this year, um, does anybody here not have the skills to get something that they're looking for? And I'll try to help you cultivate that or point you in the right direction. Jason?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as far as setting goals and being held accountable, I've noticed being kind of new to the group, I noticed some people are pretty diligent about just posting to the wider group. But I don't know if posting to a group of whatever it is, 500,000, 2,000 people is super motivating. Maybe in your 2024 plans, you and the other folks that are kind of running the show can think about creating accountability groups that are smaller. Like when I think of a mastermind, I don't think of a mastermind of 50 people or 75 or 1,000 people.
That's
But
fair.
maybe people could voluntarily join a smaller mastermind of, whatever the math is, a half dozen people or whatever, and they could meet once a week and hold each other a little more accountable. But not trying to give you homework, just an idea.
That's a good idea because the larger the group, the less like that's. I mean, I actually think the best accountability partner is one person. The more people involved in an accountability situation, the more diluted it becomes. This is why a smaller class size is more expensive because the chances of being successful are much much higher. Um, it's a really really good idea. Yeah, because it makes sense. When I first started this group in 2016, I did. This group was only 7 people, and now 5 of the 7 people are still reselling. I guess that's pretty good. I wonder what it looks like to find one partner, but I think that is all you need, really. One person that you're accountable to. And does anybody here use their spouse as their accountability partner, or you feel like you need to find somebody who knows what you're going through? I don't.
Hey, Chris,
Yep.
I think if people can do it with the spouse, it works. But I feel like that adds like a level of pressure onto the relationship that you probably don't need unless you have like someone who's super, super, super understand, like can do it in just the right way. That's not going to trigger you.
Yep.
But I just wanted to let everyone know, if you haven't been like, everybody has my hair's a mess. Sorry. Everybody does accountability differently, right? Like everybody needs something different. Like some people really need someone to like drive them and have consequences and be like, you didn't do this, like, and that's what drives them, right? My whole thing has always been the way I know I work best is I'm really good at coming up with excuses, like airtight. Like I could do more work getting out of doing something I need to do than doing the original thing. And I'm good at it. Like that's how I got through college. That's how I got through every level of school. Like instead of learning what I needed to learn, I just figured out ways around it, right? But I also know that like I'm hardest on myself. So if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, doesn't matter what anyone else says because I could come up with tight reasons not to do it and you'll never know the difference. But I'll know that I didn't do it. So what we do in the sold call, and this is for anybody, like it's not just about the sold method. Like Patrice has done a bunch of stuff there, like Rod's done a bunch of stuff there, like different people have done different things there. Like still find a one-on-one if you need it. But in that call, like I say, I'm giving you a space to hold yourself accountable because I'm not holding you accountable, right? Like I'm not gonna be like you said you're gonna do this, you didn't do it, you're out of the group, or you said we're mad at you, right? What I say is like bring it and you have people to share it with. Like you want people to share with, whatever, bring it to the group. We'll talk about it. It doesn't have to be sold method related, whatever it is. So for people, and like, if somebody says, I'm gonna bring something next week and then they don't, it's like, cool. Are you working on it? Are you making progress on it? You are? Cool. Maybe next week, right? That's not gonna work for everyone, but I just want people to know that like, that's what we do in the sold call. So if you want to have that kind of accountability, come to that. It's not just about like the method itself.
So can we do the homework of figuring out what you do? People know what type of accountability they need? Do you guys know like you need someone to call you each day to um, make sure that you did it? I was reading Think and Grow Rich, and it says that successful men, book was written in the 1930s, don't shoot me, need a hot secretary to keep themselves accountable, right? And then I asked everybody in the audience what the female version of that is, and they said it is a financial security. Financial security is the girl in the red dress. Like just knowing your bills are paid and you'll be okay. And I was like, oh, okay, that's very different. That was the top answer for sexiest outcome. So maybe that can be motivating. Like, if you can do this 10 items a day times $20 profit, that's your goal. You will not have to worry about money. Maybe that's all the accountability you need. Let's see. Jay Treasure says she lost the most weight when she had a trainer waiting at the gym for her. So when you did the trainer, did you also have to pay for the gym or was it included? Or you had to pay for both? I don't think the most successful people rely on themselves. I think that's BS. It's not true. Because like the most successful people have something they do it for almost always. It's like I do this for my kids, I do this for my family. Um it's not true. You cannot be you are too weak on your own to be a big enough reason to work hard every single day. That's not true. That's definitely not true. Like they always do it for somebody else. Maybe they want to be the best version of themselves, but they're gonna want to share that with somebody. I don't know. Like when you listen to Michael Phelps, when he didn't have his entire life planned, he was a disaster. But like wake up, go meet the trainer, eat what the nutritionist says, go to school, do what your teachers say. That's like most successful Olympic athlete of all time. Entire life planned for him, accountability 24/7.
Who planned that for him?
What do you think?
Who planned that for him? Who did his schedule?
His parents, I think. Can't be
Whole
him.
life?
Well, I mean, when he had to rely on his own, he turned into a disaster.
How's that?
Maybe let me back up. I think Jamie is right for self-actualization. If you want to be reach your highest version of yourself, that's got to be intrinsic. But high performance, a lot of people are involved.
Well, my point is, I just don't think that somebody should believe that they have to have somebody else to be successful. That they can do it on their own if they're disciplined enough and want to do it. I mean, could you do something on your own, Chris, if you really want to do it? Do you need somebody holding your hand, telling you exactly what to do?
I'm gonna be honest. I think I need someone holding my hand.
Okay.
Because
Well,
like I
but
think
do you
I
think
do.
that
Like
wouldn't your goal be to at some point? I think it's cool that if somebody needs, let's say, a crutch, somebody make them accountable right now is great. But at some point in time, shouldn't the goal be to learn how to be accountable to yourself so that you can grow and that person that is your crutch can also grow and move? And
I think so. Lynn?
I agree. I think that a lot of the successful people are very self-motivated. Every successful person that I have worked for that are billionaires at this moment. One is especially a billionaire that I worked with right out of college. And he was always he always had like a sense of urgency. And it was I had to learn to be careful of sharing a lot of my ideas with him, because he would like if he listened to one, and if I wasn't ready to get it done, it would, I would be working 24. I mean, let me back up. If he heard a great idea, he would instantly make it happen. And if that idea, like, let's say, came from me, oh my gosh, my whole day, my whole month, my whole year, it would just change direction. And if you're not ready for that, if you're, I thought I was very flexible, but man, when I worked for him, I realized how inflexible I was, because he always had that sense of urgency. He was always excitable. And I had just read, I didn't quite really understand with everyone that I have worked for, that sense of, like, I don't know, direction. But I just read a book. We have a book club in my family. Let me just give you a background. We have a book club, me, my husband, my son. And the thing about our little book club is we cannot pick out our book. We can decide if it's a fiction or nonfiction, but like we kind of rotate. Since it's just the three of us, last month my husband picked me, and he made me read this book called Invisible Wealth, and just finished it. And the thing she said, which I thought was what described every successful person, is she said, a problem well put is half solved. And if you're a successful person, if you can describe the problem that you're solving, you will already know what to do to get it done. And then the other thing that she said, the key takeaway that I got was, if there is a goal that you really want and you are extremely committed to, your internal GPS, everyone has an internal GPS that will get turned on. And it doesn't matter if there's bumps along the road, or if you accidentally took the wrong exit, your internal GPS will recalibrate and get you back on the road. And so she was just essentially saying, you just have to tap into your internal, I guess everybody has she said, those that aren't capable of doing that, they haven't tapped into their renewable resources. So she kind of brought that up too, in a sense of that everybody's energy, everybody's self, what you think, how you work, your ethics, those are all renewable resources. And half the people don't tap into that renewable resources. They seem to think that it's outside of yourself, that you have to grab all these resources in order to be successful. And I just thought, wow, that's exactly what describes these high, powerful millionaires that are very successful. They look like they have all the energy in the world because they've somehow realized that they are the renewable resources. And they've learned to turn on this internal GPS that allows them to work their butt off and somehow make it look easy. So I agree. At some point you have to be self-accountable, and you have to like be able to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And yes, I do agree to some extent. You do need other people to be successful, in a sense of, well, that's what this book kind of describes. When you are successful, all of a sudden you will meet other people. You will have acquaintances. You will obtain knowledge. You will obtain information. You will obtain education, because people then will be attracted to that. You will attract other people who are just as self-motivated and self-accountable as you. So if there's going to be an assistance, or an accountability or whatever, it's going to be somebody else who is just like you, that's going to say, hey, this is how it's easy to do. But they're not going to do the work for you. And they're not going to, they're not going to push it'll feel like they're helping you and that they're making you accountable, but they're just really, you're really just pushing yourself forward. I don't know if that makes sense. But this whole book just changed the way I was. I was like, okay, I just realized I thought I was self-motivated. I thought that I was accountable, but I really am not.
Yep.
I've yet to tap that into the renewable resources that I have.
I think self-awareness is big. You're right, Lynn. I think that what I took away most from what you said was the high energy.
Yeah, they all seem to have. That's the one thing that it boggles my mind. So my husband's retired, and he still gets up at 4 a.m. He was like the 4 a.m. club guy, and I don't even think anyone told him about 4 a.m. But he immediately gets up at 4 a.m. and he has never changed his schedule ever. He's still on the same schedule. I even asked him, I'm like, you know, you don't have to get up at 4, right? Like you could get up at 8 or 10, you're retired, you don't have anyone accountable to. And he's just like, why? He's like, I get up at 4. I love my schedule. I mean, I'm just so jealous at that he could be so accountable to himself. And you talk about working out. My husband's never missed a work. I mean, he used to work 12-hour days. And the 4 a.m., that's when he would wake up. So he changed his schedule a little bit, right? So now he works out at 2 o'clock, but he has never, ever missed the gym by himself. I mean, and he had a trainer, but now he knows, he's done it for so long. He knows his training schedule. I'm just looking, I'm like, wow, I wish I could be like that. He's not that great though. He does have other weaknesses, but the one weakness he doesn't have is he is definitely self-accountable. Like he definitely has an internal GPS turned on for himself.
So what if you're weak-minded like me and you need the accountability partner?
Like what type of partner I need?
I know I don't got that. The like I've met a couple of people that perhaps have that insane self-drive. I have drive, but it's not that level that you're describing where they
Do you
never
really
get
believe you're weak-minded?
compared to that.
But do you really believe that you're weak-minded?
Yes, because I work so much better with other people. Like
I think you think you
100
do,
times
but I
better.
don't